Let me get this situated. Let me get this pulled out. I said I'm not even gonna be long, but I want everybody to come on to the YouTube page, please. Everybody go on to the YouTube page. I'm gonna clear some stuff up. So all Moorish, please go to my YouTube page real fast. We're gonna give this quick science lesson real fast. All right, everybody, please go to the YouTube page because I'm gonna be cutting this off after I do this one because I'm gonna need my phone because I couldn't bring my documents, but I got a lot of stuff saved on my PDF. So I want to clear this up. I'm gonna do this one more time when I speak upon the science of the Moorish Quran and how can I say it? How we fraudulently will accuse our own brothers or our own sisters of something, especially when it come down to plagiarizing. And when I tell Moorish, you haven't even researched the science to see where the wisdom come from, when a lot of our own brothers and sisters be talking about Noble Drew Ali plagiarized some Aquarian gospel. And when I show the science and when I illuminate the science and I show you the writings of those people that wrote those particular books, even the Unto Thee I Grant, they tell where the science come from. Islam Moors, from the Moorish Akashic records, and the secret wisdom, which is all Moorish science. Do we know that? And like I said, I'm not even going to be long. We got to know this. Like I said, I'm about to clear some things up, and this should illuminate a lot of misunderstandings. This should illuminate a lot of misteachings that brothers were spread. When they see, this is the thing that a lot of Negro, blacks, and colored do. When we don't understand something, we haven't researched something to how can I say? When we haven't researched something scholastically, and when we haven't really done the research, what we'll do is start talking about what somebody said or what we heard. And I don't care what nobody heard. I don't care what you believe, because your belief or your so-called truth can be based on a lie. Right under the word believe, you have a word called belie. We must know the etymology and the etymon and the context of everything. So in the context where we talk about the Moorish Holy Quran, and when people be making stuff up, especially giving credit to no disrespect to Europeans, and I say no disrespect, Europeans haven't done nothing but whitewash the history books. And this is facts. You can't find any scholarship or books that say that the European is the father of civilization. No disrespect to no one. It's all a story. And those are stories. But it's no proof. So, what do we, Moors, what is our Moorish Quran constructed of? What is our Moorish Quran constructed of? If we don't know, we should say it. That's okay. But what we have to do is stop letting people accuse people of things from no science, because they want to always try to prove something. And I say, you wasting your time, because the work has been done. And our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, if you read and if you understand words, he never said he originated anything. He said it's gathered and compiled. So if somebody gathered and compiled something, that means it comes from somewhere else, divinely prepared. So we're going to talk about this. When I say I know a lot of Moors are not elites, they're not sheiks, and they're not adepts. And then a lot of Moors we talk about, they want to join some groups, some Rosicrucian groups. And I'm like, man, Moors, you're not listening. I removed the veil of all the so-called secret societies, just the way our prophet did. There's no reason to do that if you were a true Moor, because you get all the science when you put the fez on a turban on your head. That's the 32 and 33 degrees and your divine instruction too. And then I take it to the 99 degrees, which is 720 degree of wisdom. So when we talk about the work of the infinite wisdom is now published as what, Moors? What is the infinite wisdom? We're going to clear up all false accusations. Do y'all know what the infinite wisdom is? Yes or no? Because y'all have it. All my students, y'all have it. That's what part of the books I gave y'all. What is the infinite wisdom now published as? Anybody know? That's why I be saying, I'm like, you got to study. And then when thank you. And then okay, but then in chapter 1, don't y'all know, I had my dad explain chapter 1 and what the true monotheism was all about and who Imhotep was. It's right in the introduction. This stuff synchronizes. But we be too busy trying to, in our lower religious dogmatic perspective, I'm like, you're wrong. But it's the unto thee I grant, Moors. And the readings in the Holy Quran that diverge from the unto thee I grant follow the infinite wisdom. And in 2 instances in the Holy Quran, it diverges from both. In the first instant, Moors, enough of evil is allotted unto man, but he maketh it more while he lamenteth it. It's left out of chapter 44, verse 10. But in verse 19 of that same chapter, who remembereth himself in joy becomes who remembereth themselves as a boy. And here is one more instance where our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, his change improves the original. So chapters 19 to 44 of our Holy Quran are found in pages 19 to 63 of Unto Thee I Grant, and pages 27 to 102 of the Infinite Wisdom. That's how I know if I'm more studying or if you're just reading and reading. Because if you're studying, you synchronize, and you'll be like, okay, well, this synchronized with our Moorish Quran, and here it is. I'm trying to get us to think. And this is how you can eliminate all false accusations. Did our Prophet Noble Drew Ali plagiarize the Holy Quran of the Moorish Scientilla of America? Absolutely not. There's plenty of people that accuse of accusations. Talk about our Prophet plagiarized the Holy Quran of Moorish Scientilla of America, published in 1927. And it's important that we clear up the language we use when we make accusations, because you may intentionally or unintentionally commit acts of libel or defamation of character. Just as it is a crime to steal someone's work or ideas and claim it as yours when you don't reference it right, it is also a crime to slander someone's reputation. So I tell Moors, research what plagiarism is. You got to research what plagiarism is. The practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. Plagiarize. Take the work or idea of someone else and pass it on as your own. That's in your dictionary. The Fairlex legal section states plagiarism in the legal section. In the legal section, the act of appropriating the literary composition of another author or excerpts, ideas, or passages therefrom and passing the material off as one's own creation. I'll show you a lot of people done that. They done took the clock of destiny, and people get mad because they in characters, and I say, all he did is plagiarized it. That's the clock of destiny. I promise you. I promise you. Plagiarism is theft of another person's writing or ideas. Generally, it occurs when someone steals expressions. I told y'all that. Defamation, the act of damaging the good reputation of someone, slander or libel. So you got to understand all that, what defamation and all that stuff is. I hope we understand that. And so I'm clearing up some stuff when I tell Moors, it's no reason to join none of the stuff. If you have your science, if you have the books that I give you, that's how I know more studying, because the work of The infinite wisdom is now published as the unto thee I grant. It's published as the unto thee I grant. And I just gave you all the scriptures in our Moorish Quran that match up with the unto thee I grant. That's why when people be making accusations, it's no reason to join no secret societies, and we remove the veil off of that. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali done it, and I continue to do that. That's why I tell Moors, the only group you should be part of is what I'm teaching. I will give you the degrees, but you must be willing to be a student and go through it. You ain't got to be joining these other organizations, these outside clandestine organizations, and we Moors. You're supposed to understand that before you even put the fez on your crown. That's in your divine instruction number 2. Just like it's no reason to join no European Masonry. So why should we join some other groups? Because somebody talking, and our Prophet and myself, we revealed all that. We are committed to adapt. So why would you want to join something outside of Moorish science? Because we're not listening, and we're not singing the science that's synchronized. So our Prophet Noble Drew Ali published the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1927. However, he never claimed to have wrote the Holy Quran, nor have he ever claimed it to be of his own ideas. Noble Drew Ali actually claimed the opposite. Please go on my YouTube page more, because I'm gonna use my phone as soon as I'm finished to give some black Christian codes. And I'm gonna ask Moors, why do you want to still call yourself black and Christian? And I'm gonna show you. But he never claimed, he claimed the opposite. Our Prophet stated on the cover of our Holy Quran that it was divinely prepared. So the words divine means of or from God, and prepared means to make something ready for the use or consideration. And due to the name correction in 1928, there are 2 versions of the Holy Quran. One reads, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, as the other reads, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And both of these pamphlets are from the same organization, founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the same science in both. So if anybody be telling you they different, they're a lie and a sin. And also, when Moors be talking about that Aquarian gospel, the Levi Dowling, let me tell you what the European says where the science come from, so we can be correct when somebody be going with that garbage. Levi Dowling, Aquarian Gospels of Jesus Christ, published December 1st, 1908. He said, I transcribed. So the first thing you must do is look up the word transcribe. Transcribe the text of the book Aquarian Gospel. From where? The Akashic records. From the Akashic records, a purported compendium of mystical knowledge encoded in a non-physical plane of existence. And therefore, Mr. Levi H. Dowling, too, has claimed the information in his book was not of his own. And then you're going to let somebody, especially Negro, blacks, and color, talk about Noble Drew Ali plagiarize our Moorish Holy Quran from some damn Aquarian gospel. Garbage. And I'm telling you, the science comes from somewhere else. And then when I talk about the unto thee I grant, the one that my students have, from Sir Ramathiel's Unto Thee I Grant, published 1925. Sir Ramathiel, as well as the Rosicrucian order. When one of my nobles, like the Rosicrucians, hit him up, and I'm like, why? They trying to distract you. They know who you follow. They know what it is. They know I removed the veil. There's no reason to go to that stuff. I keep telling them, I'm a shaman, I'm a 99. It's no reason to go outside of that stuff. Sir Ramathiel's Unto Thee I Grant, published 1925. Sir Ramathiel, as well as the Rosicrucian order, stated, out of the mysteries of the past comes this antique book. That's how I know Moors ain't reading. Unto Thee I Grant, that was written 2,000 years ago, but was hidden in manuscripts from the eyes of the world and given only to the initiates of the temples in Tibet to study privately. What's in the introduction of your Moorish Quran? The reason why these teachings have been missing, the 18 missing years, because the sages in Tibet had the teachings. I mean, come on, that's why I be like, man, y'all should be reading this. They was given to the initiates of the temples in Tibet to study privately, and therefore Mr. Sir Ramathiel, too, has claimed the information in this book was not of his own. Divinely prepared within the Moorish Holy Quran, Science Temple of America. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali said exactly where he received the teachings within the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. On page 3, it reads, and I quote Moors, this is elementary. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. Correct, Moorish Islam? Correct? Hotep, Shalom Alakim, Shalom Alakim, Assalamu Alaikum, Islam, correct, Moors? It's in our Quran, the introduction. Islam, correct, Moors? Correct? Talk to me. The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale. Thank you. Thank you. As I'm the prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire. You can receive this knowledge from us. The reason the lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims in America. All authority and rights of this publishing of this pamphlet of 1927. So my question is to Moors, why do we want to go outside ourselves and our own brother, that's a Moor, has the teachings? Why? Why? And that's what we've been doing. And that's how we confuse the teachings. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali and myself is referring to that these teachings are an ancient teachings in which he does not, and myself, I don't take the credit. And for neither does Mr. Levi Dowling or Sir Ramatherio of the Rosicrucians, with much respect. In addition, according to the legal definition, the denotative definition, the etymological definition of plagiarism, as well as the words of the authors of said sources, Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not plagiarize the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And according to the Rosicrucian website, Mr. Cirio Ramatherio is not the originator of the information provided in the book titled Unto Thee I Grant. He told you, he said, out of the mysteries of the past come the antique book that was written 2,000 years ago, but was hidden in the manuscripts form from the eyes of the world and given only to the initiates of the temple in Tibet to study privately. That's in the intro of your Quran, according to Aquarian Gospels of Jesus Christ. Mr. Levi Donnelly states that he meditated in the quietest hour, 3 a.m., to then receive access to the Akashic records, in which he transcribed the lessons he received. Mr. Levi H. Downey, according to his book, he was merely a transcriber. All he was a damn transcriber. As was known to his followers, he was known to his followers as a transcriber. What is our religion? Islamism. Is it a new religion or old-time religion? Old-time religion. In the promotion of the plans for a betterment of mankind, there has never been some kind of opposition. That's what I want us to tell us. And strange as it may seem, such oppositions has come from sources where there were no ideas or the lack of courage to force attention to ideas, whether in church, state, or social communities. Any attempt to do anything out of the usual way seldom falls to receive criticism. Not because the course cannot be pursued legally or that it is unreasonable, Moors, but because it has been considered in terms as new. And the Moorish Science Temple of America has received some opposition and criticism from our own Negro, blacks, and colored misnomer, and even from Moors. And that's the main reason the opposition has come from certain Christian aspects. When they get caught with that Christianity, and I tell y'all the black Christian codes, when I'm about to give y'all just an intro of it. The Mohammedan faith among our people in the United States is considered by them in terms as something new. But whatever the reason may be for their opposition, the legal right to oppose citizens, individuals, and organizations alike for their religious belief does not exist in the United States. And the door of religious freedom made by the American Constitution swings open to all, and people may enter through it and worship as they desire. Without religious freedom, no search for truth would be possible. Without religious freedom, no discovery of truth would be useful. Without religious freedom, religious progress would be checked, and we would no longer march forward toward the nobler life which the future holds for the races of men. Without religious freedom, Moors, there would be no inspiration to lift our heads and gaze with fearlessness into the vast beyond, seeking a hope eternal. It is sad, it's weakness in us, after all, to oppose our fellow men for their religious belief. And if there are angels who record the sorrows of men as well as their sins, they certainly know how many and deep are the useless sorrows that spring forth from such opposition. And possibly, Moors, love and the time will cancel our ancient hatred in this regard and prove that in mankind tolerance is better than unwarranted opposition. In connection with our religious aims and belief mores, we must promote economic security. The preaching of economic security among us is by no means as widespread and intensive as the circumstances demand. No other one thing is more needed among us at this time than greater economic power. Better position for our men and women, more business employment for our boys and girls, and bigger incomes will follow our economic security. We shall be secure in nothing until we have economic power. A beggar people cannot develop the highest in them, nor can they attain to a genuine enjoyment of the spiritualities of life. The prophet will privately not tolerate any interference with the operation of this national and divine movement from any Negro, black, and colored, or any more. Period. So I hope, go on my YouTube page, because I'm finna cut off on IG, because I need this. I'm gonna give something to y'all and I'm done. Because I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here. So let me give y'all this. Let me give y'all this real fast. When people just like to post stuff, but then they don't give any insight and they don't give clarity. So I'm gonna give a little clarity. One of the books I showed y'all, the Protestant, and when Negro, blacks, and colored, when they was coming out of slavery, they thought when they be under the European Christianity, under the overseer, when they thought they would get baptized and get some baptism certificate, they thought that made them free. But all that did was made you a religious slave. I show the books all day. So don't get mad at me, Moorish. When I teach systematically from an educational standpoint, everything I talk about can be researched. So I'm just gonna give you a highlight. So when Moorish just post stuff of the Christian black codes of 1724, and I'm gonna give you an extensive breakdown coming. I'm gonna give you a little bit of it. The Christian black codes of 1724 were initiated during Reconstruction after the Civil War was in control. Blacks after they were emancipated, passed by southern states. Instead of giving blacks the same rights as whites, we talk about the class things, the rights as white people, the codes limited the black freedoms severely. They included that blacks had to be in service of white persons, that they could not have congregation together. You can't congregate together. That's why they had the overseer to make sure you was preaching that pseudo garbage. That they could not speak out, and that they could not have weapons. That's why they wanted to make everything a conspiracy, because they didn't want you to believe no science from your own brother. So they came up with this thing, conspiracy, and everything is not a conspiracy. That they could not speak out and that they could not have weapons. They also included that the blacks could not go out without a white supervisor. Thus, blacks had to take on the religions and the holidays and gods of their white superiors. They saying blacks, they ain't saying no Moors, because they know the law. I'm telling you, man. The same black codes were said to have been made null and void with the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865, although many southern states adopted black codes to keep former slaves from voting and impose other restrictions. So why would you want to self-identify today as black? Why? Why? Why would you want to self-identify as black or white when I tell Moors you don't know what you're reading? You had to be under the holidays of your supervisor. The blacks had to take on the religions and the holidays and the gods of their white superiors. These same black codes were said to have been made null and void for the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865, although many southern states adopted the black codes to keep former slaves from voting and impose other restrictions. The 14th and 15th Amendments were to supposedly have eliminated the codes, but as you read them down when I give them to you and study the law of the land in conjunction with religion and politics, you will discover that these codes have been modernized in a disguise, and many of them are still in effect and modernized. When you identify as a Negro, black, or colored, the Christian codes of 1724, the Christian black codes, the Christian black codes. What are Christian white codes? It ain't none. Article 1 decrees the exclusion of the Jews from the colony. Article 2, make it imperative of masters to impart religion's instruction to their slaves. Article 3, permits the exercise of the Roman Catholics' creed only when you look up their doctrine of discovery. Research that. Every other mode of worship is prohibited. Article 4, Negroes placed under the direction of supervision of any other person than a Catholic are liable to a confiscation. Sundays and holy days, holidays are to be strictly observed. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. Article 6, we forbid our white subjects of both sexes to marry with the blacks under penalty of being fined and subject to some other arbitrary punishment. We forbid all curators, priests, and missionaries of the secular or regular clergy, even our chaplains and our navy section sanctions such marriages. You hear what I'm saying? Also, and even the manumitted of freeborn blacks to live in a state of concubinage with slaves, should there be any issue for this kind, a fine of 300 livers, should said issue be result of concubinage of the master and his slave. Read all that. Article 7, the ceremonies of the former prescribe that the ordinance of the blacks and by their edicts of 1691 for marriage shall be observed both with regard to free persons and slave, but the consent of the father and mother of the slave is not necessary. That of the master shall be the only one required. So when we do all this marriage stuff and we disobey the teachings of our marriage laws, you're going under their own thing when you do certain things. Right? 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 I'm freezing up, man, so I'm gonna end it at that, Moors. I'm gonna end it at that. Islam. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. Oh, it reconnected. All right, there we go. Yeah, it froze. I know. It froze. So I'm getting ready to end it, man, because a lot of times it freeze. But we're going to be live tomorrow for Sunday school at 2 p.m. on my YouTube page and my IG page. Article 11, masters shall have their Christian slaves buried in consecrated grounds. Article 12, we forbid slaves to carry offensive weapons or heavy sticks under the penalty of being whipped and of having said weapons confiscated for the benefit of the person seizing the same. Article 13, we forbid slaves belonging to different masters to gather in crowds. They forbid blacks to gather in crowds, either by day or by night, under the prefix of a wedding or of any other cause, either of the dwelling of the ground of one of their masters or anywhere. So you could even talk to your own brother. Article 14, masters who shall be convicted of having permitted or tolerated such gatherings as foresaid, composed of their slaves than their own, shall be sentenced individually. You see that? Article 15, we forbid Negroes. See, now they're switching it to Negroes. They just said blacks. Negro, black color, you were a slave for life. That's the Dred Scott law. Negroes to sell any commodities. We forbid Negroes to sell any commodities. You couldn't even sell commodities. So that means you would be poor. And then with this cheap labor, all this stuff is systematically. Provisions of produce of any kind without the written permission of their masters or without wearing their known marks or badges. And any persons purchasing any of their things from Negroes in violation of this article shall be sentenced to pay a fine of 1,500 livres. Article 16, 17, 18, 19 provided at length for the clothing of slaves and of their substance. Slaves who shall not be properly fed, clad, or provided for by their masters may give information thereof to the Attorney General. You hear that? They clothe you and bathe you. They was your masters. Article 21, slaves who are disabled from working, either by old age, disease, or otherwise, be the disease incurable or no, shall be fed and provided for by their masters, and in the case they should have been abandoned by the said masters, and slaves shall be adjudicated to the nearest hospital. You hear this mess? Article 22, we declare that slaves have no rights. We declare that slaves has no rights. If you identify as Negro, black, and colored, you were the slave for life, and you had no right to any kind of property, but that all that they acquire, either by their own industry or by the ability of others, or by any other means or title, whatever shall be the full property of their masters and their children of the slaves, their fathers, mothers, their kindred, or other relations, either free or slave, shall have no pretensions or claim thereto. You hear this? You can't own nothing. Article 23, masters shall be responsible for what their slaves have done by their command, and also for what transaction they have permitted their slaves to do in their shops. You hear this? Article 24, slaves shall be incapable of public functions and of being constituted agents for any other persons than their own masters, without the powers to manage or conduct any kind of trade, nor can they serve as arbitrators or experts, nor shall they be called to give their testimony in either civil or in criminal cases, except when it shall be a matter of necessity. You couldn't teach, you couldn't educate nobody. More work. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. I teach a class. I have students. I have books. I will send you the PDF of our of my syllabus. I'm a teacher. I'm teaching. I teach real Moorish science, civics, and history, everything. I give all the books. All my students have the real civics and history books. This is what I do. I'm not just talking. I'm a teacher. That's why I tell Moorish the only way you can learn is to become a student. Reading the books is not the teaching. The books is books. Article 35, we permit subjects in the colony who may have slaves. Article 36, I don't want to read them all, but you got all the way up, you got 54 articles. You got 54 articles in the black Christian slaves. Y'all see that? So I'm gonna leave y'all with that, Moors. If Moors want to study systematically, we just started. Man, it's gonna get better and better. It's gonna get our schooling gonna get better and better. That's why I tell Moors don't have the literature because they're not students. Once you become a student and a member, I have a one-time a registration fee of $250. You get your 7 books and you get your turban. And you get your fez. I ship that to you. I have a $100 tuition fee monthly because that $100 tuition fee, everything's tax exempt. I'm trying to build the physical temple out here. So if you're not here in Arizona, you can be an online student, but we need a physical temple here so people can come to. Like I had a temple for 3 years and I paid for it for myself. So I want Moors to do things the right way, man, and become students and members and learn systematically. I teach systematically. I don't recommend no book for no more to read, because you're not going to learn by studying on your own. You must cover it, and you must have a guide and a map. If I give a Moor a compass and put you in the middle of the jungle and say, get to the north longitude, east latitude, where the water flows east, and you will find your location to free land. You got to know how to read the compass. If you don't know how to read the compass, then it's just a piece of metal. So it ain't nothing wrong with having a guide or a map. It's nothing wrong with your own brother teaching you. And that's the problem with us. We have been miseducated, and that's the miseducation of the Negro. I love y'all, man. Islam, become students. Peace, light, and illumination. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., our Divine Ministry live. Cash App $KG Bay for donations, man. We need them to build the temple. Islam.